Listen up. If you think your money is safe, think again. Trump's policies are about to shake up your finances, and if you're not ready, you can end up in a financial mess real quick. But don't worry, I've got you. Here's exactly what's happening and how to Trump-proof your money before it's too late. Let's get into it. Hi, my name is Imani and I am the Healthy Finance Coach, and my goal is to help you financially educate yourself so that you can thrive in any economic climate regardless of who's in office, so that you can gain balance and discipline in your financial life, and so that you can live the financial life that you deserve. It's getting serious out there. I know everybody sees it, feels it, it's affecting, and it will affect everyone. So regardless of whether or not you voted for Trump or not, it's still going to affect you. However, we can play this very smart. You don't have to be in a bad financial situation just because everything around us is changing. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the different policies that Trump is and has put in place that will ultimately affect our wallets if we don't play smart moves. The first thing I want to discuss is the removal of labor in the form of illegal immigrants that are here in our country. What a lot of people don't realize is these people were doing a lot of jobs that otherwise others would not do, meaning they were picking our fruit, they were handling the farms, they were building our homes. Essentially, they're helping keep America running. Without these people in place, there's no one to pick the food, to farm the land, to build the homes. Prices are going to increase. It is inevitable. We talk about the prices of eggs being $10 and $12. Well, a lot of that is because of the bird flu, not necessarily because we don't have people to pick the eggs from the chickens, but the fruits, the vegetables, all of those things that we farm in America, a lot of those illegal immigrants were farming for us or picking for us. And so now what happens is, because you removed that labor and the wage that comes with that type of labor, you now have to hire people who require higher wages. And what are they going to do? They're going to pass that along to the American consumer. And so the amount of money for food is already going up due to inflation, but now it's going to increase even more because we have to pay people to do this particular job. Not sure if they were thinking about that, but I'm sure they will start to see it in their pockets. They can afford to see it a little more than most can, but lower class, middle class, those are the ones that are going to be affected by this. The second thing that Trump has done is he has created tariffs for Mexico, Canada, and China. Now, I know that he's trying to do some type of negotiation with each country, but they are playing his game. They're playing chess. And because of that, they are going to also place tariffs on American goods. And so what happens with that? That is passed along to the consumer, us. We now have to pay more money because the company has to pay tariffs. See how this is trickling down to us? It looks like fun and game, but it really trickles down to the consumer. That means more money out of your pocket. For example, they're expecting that these tariffs will increase our expenses by an additional $1,200 per year. So if you're already struggling, where's that money coming from? The third thing that I want to discuss is medical debt reform. It's bad enough that we have deductibles that we have to pay before insurance kicks in, that we have out-of-pocket maxes that are ridiculously amount, and that we have coinsurance, which in most cases is 80-20, meaning you pay 20% out of your pocket. Now what's happening is the protection of the debt collection for those medical bills are being lifted. So what does that mean for you? That means that in the past, they couldn't really attack you, call you, harass you. They're lifting that. So that's another stress, that if you have medical issues and you have payments that are due to, your primary care or the hospital or whomever, they can come after you for that and harass you basically until they get it. Now, what they're not supposed to do is to place that on your credit report, because that is a HIPAA violation. But I'm sure they'll find some way around that as well. This is all affecting your bank account. And by the end of this video, I'm going to prepare you on how to get past this, or how to at least feel like you can control or have some sense of control over your money while all of this stuff is either being sought out or for the next 4 years that we're going to have to endure this. The other issue with medical is, as you may have seen in the news, that the Medicare costs, the prices for our elderly, their medication will be increasing. That's another story in itself. And unfortunately in our country, and I was a director of revenue cycle management, which is billing for medical from the beginning to the end, from the intake to cash posting for 7 years. The way that healthcare is set up is not the best. It's just not the best. And unfortunately, when you're submitting claims and you're hoping that you receive payment from the insurance carrier, that's another story, because a lot of times the insurance carriers are protected. They have monopolized the system. So they have government backing in most cases, and they can get away with a lot of stuff. They can hold on to payment to your providers so that they can increase their bottom line. That's another story for another day, but I just want you to know that you may endure going to a hospital, going to your primary care, and the claim not being processed properly. And so that's more money coming out of your pocket. And all of this is because of the policies that Trump will or has put in place. It's all affecting each and every one of us. Like I said, whether you voted for him or not, you're still going to be affected. The next thing I want to talk about are tax policies. Now, I worked for the IRS many years ago. I know a lot about tax returns, what they look for, what they don't look for, all of that good stuff. However, his tax policies are not too bad in that he's keeping the 2017 policies in place, meaning higher standard deduction and things of that nature. However, when they don't take as much tax from the American people, social programs and other things of that nature are affected because now they are not being able to pay for those things. So those costs may be placed on you. And so you have to look at that as well, especially like if you're getting financial aid, or if you're getting, like financial aid for your kids or for yourself, or if you're getting Medicaid, like some type of health insurance or something of that nature that otherwise they would pay the majority for or help you out with. A lot of that stuff is being cut because the taxes directly affect the funding to those type of programs. And I know that that's one of the things, once he got in office, he said he was going to be scaling back on a lot of the funding, the DEI funding, the Social Security funding, the Medicare funding, financial aid funding. All of that is placed back on us, the consumer, the American person. We have to pay more out of pocket now. So these are things that you want to think about as well. But like I said, before the end of this video, I will go into how you can Trump-proof your money and your finances. This one is a big one, and these are regulatory changes for banking institutions. So I don't know if you guys remember, depending on your age, back in the day, there were a lot of fees assessed with overdrawn accounts, not having enough money in your account, different things like that. The bank was able to assess astronomical fees. And so policy and regulation was put in place that no, they have to have a cap on these fees. Well, based on Trump's policies, they're going to revert back to the old way. So if you're not handling your bank account properly, you can have more fees than you actually have money in the account. So if you wrote a check or you have a withdrawal that is not covered in the bank account, like you don't have enough money in that bank account, and let's say it was $30, your fees could actually be more than $30 once these policies and regulations are reverted back to the old way. So you have to pay attention to that, because that can directly affect the money that comes out of your pocket. The other thing with the regulatory banking is with the credit scores and the lending practices. We may now have to pay more fees for home purchases, for the bank pulling out credit reports, whereas it may have been $3 to $10, it may be $30 to $100 now. Like, there's so many things that if they create leniency for the banking institutions, they can pass along a lot of what they would have paid under regulation to us. Got to think about that. So that's more money out of your pocket. As far as inflation is concerned, the days of old probably won't ever come back. So the egg situation, I think once they get the bird flu under control, that we'll have some relief from that. But as far as food in general, going back to the prices that we paid pre-pandemic, that is highly unlikely. So now you have to budget more money for food. And in some cases, realistically, it is cheaper to eat out. Unfortunately, I hate saying that, but depending on how large your family size is, you can probably feed your family eating out with them preparing it with less money than if you were to go grocery shopping, because grocery shopping has become astronomical, as everyone, I'm sure, agrees. Now that we've talked about some of the policy changes that Trump has either made or is planning to make, how can you Trump-proof your financial or money situation? One of the things that I want you to really consider, especially if you invest your money, is to make sure that you diversify your money. Meaning, do not have it sitting all in one place. Move it around. Make sure that all of your eggs are not in one basket. Meaning, make sure you have a healthy mix of stocks, bonds, ETFs, mutual funds, index funds, high interest savings account. Make sure that you diversify. That is very important, because if one thing changes drastically, as we all saw, the tariffs were put in place and the stock market dropped 500 to 600 points like in one day. So don't want to risk the money that you have saved and worked hard for dissipating because all of this stuff is going on. So make sure you diversify. The next thing is to make sure that you stay abreast on healthcare policies. Because the way that healthcare now works, a lot of the costs have been placed onto either the employer or the consumer. You now have to pay more out of pocket. You now have to pay higher deductibles. You now have to pay more out of pocket maximums. And you now have to pay 20%, your portion of the 80-20 on higher contracted rates, which means more out of pocket for you. So how can you relieve some of that? You can actually explore what we call HSAs, which are health savings account. This will help you manage your medical expenses a little better. And usually your company will offer that if you have that. The other thing you can do is you can research different healthcare options out there. There may be some that cover the things that you need that are a little less expensive, so you're not paying as much for your premiums. I know that there are people who elect not to take their insurance from their company to fall up under their spouse, or to go and look on the market to see if there's something a little less expensive. Usually, depending on how much salary you make, the market, if you have low salary, the market can absolutely be less expensive than your job, than your employer and what they offer as premium. But if you make good money, most likely your employer is going to be the best way to go. Take a look at those things. Look into the health savings accounts. Make sure that you cover yourself in all ways, because you're really going to need it if you have medical issues. Nobody wants to be without medical if they have medical issues. Most people can probably get away with it if they're relatively healthy. But if you have medical issues, definitely don't want to be. So just do some research, see what else is out there. Just like anything, like with car insurance or any other type of like home insurance, you want to research to see who has the best rates for you and your needs. That's what's important. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to plan for tax changes. Like I said, I have 2 kids who are in college, and hearing that there's a possibility that they may take away or reduce financial aid when you have 2 children that are in college at the same time can be a little detrimental, especially because that's their goal. They want to achieve that, and I want that for them. However, this is where you have to make plans. Consult with a tax professional to see what changes affect you and how you can work through those changes so that you're covered on your end. The next thing you're going to want to do is monitor financial regulations. Stay informed with the financial regulations and how they affect the consumer, which is you. Make sure you adjust your financial practices so that you don't have to gain extra fees that you would otherwise have to. As far as inflation, food, what's going on with the immigrants and how it's going to affect us, possible food shortages. I'm not trying to scare anyone. I don't know if you saw the movie Leave the World Behind that the Obamas have produced or executive produced on Netflix. But it kind of gives us a glimpse into what's happening. It started with the boat, or the tugboat that ran into the to the bridge in Maryland last year. It's starting, the planes are falling out the sky. The next thing they're talking about, the electrical grids that, the blackouts. The next thing is going to be, no Wi-Fi. We won't have access to communication, social media. Those things are going to go. And then, of course, food shortage and medication shortage. How do you Trump-proof yourself with that? You're going to have to go back. And like I said, it really depends on how old you are. But back in the day, we used to actually look at each store to see what was on sale. And this is kind of smart anyway. I know that we all kind of have our favorite stores to go to. And honestly, at one point, Walmart was my favorite store to go to buy the things that I needed, whether it was food. The Super Walmart had everything. It was a one-stop shop for me. But what I realize is that Walmart is not the best financial choice right now because they no longer have the prices that they used to have. In some cases, their prices are actually higher than their competitors. So what I do now is I look around. I make a list of what I want to eat for the week. I buy by week because that's just what it works best for my family. But I look and see what's on sale, what meats are on sale, what pasta's on sale, what rice is on sale, what vegetables are on sale, what bread is on sale, milk, all those things, all the essentials that you would have in your cupboard or in your refrigerator for the week. And then I go to that store. And if some have coupons, you use coupons. We have to start thinking smart. It should be like that anyway. But I think we've gotten to this place where, financially, most people were doing okay. And we weren't really thinking about these things the way we used to. If you look at kind of what everyone is trying to do, and you really have to kind of think about this, it's almost as if they want us to revert back to the old time. So why not stay ahead of the game, right? The goal is to go back to the days of old. So let's do some of the things that we did in the days of old and prepare ourselves financially so that we're not really affected by it. Is it uncomfortable at first? But once you get used to it, there's nothing like looking at a groceries flyers to see what they have on sale, what your family loves, save some money, and put that money up in a savings account that is safe, that you can access. I would also suggest possibly keeping some cash on hand just in case things do go out and you don't have access to a bank. That's important. Those are some of the ways that you can Trump-proof your money right now. Start thinking smart, start spending smart, start living smart. Pay attention to your surroundings, and always, always try to keep certain things on hand in your home because you never know what's going to happen. I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm trying to scare you because it is real. I know if you are human and you live in this country, you can feel it. The way January 2025 came in, I knew it was going to be very similar, if not worse, to 2020. Prayerfully, we don't have any types of pandemics where people are dying. Prayerfully, there's no civil war where people are getting out of control. I'm praying that everyone is safe who's listening to my voice and who's not listening to my voice. I'm praying. And like I said, regardless of whether or not you voted for Trump, it's still going to affect you. So why not do what you need to do for you and your family so that you can stay financially safe during these times? And who knows, this just may be how it is going forward. I hope that you understand what I'm trying to prepare you for and that you take heed. And if you need one-on-one coaching on how to learn how to spend better, to budget better, to save better, to get some of that debt down, to get your credit up, book a consultation with me. I'll be more than happy to speak with you to see what your needs are so that we can come up with a plan for you. And you can find that information down in the description area. And I truly appreciate you watching this video if you made it this far. I would like to know, if you can comment, I would like to know, what is your greatest fear right now in regards to what's going on in America? What scares you? Now, we know that we are all covered, and if you believe, then you're fine. But there's always that one thing that's like, yeah, if that happens, yeah, I don't know. I would love to know what that is in the comments, and that way we can kind of have a discussion on that. So thank you for listening. Truly appreciate it. And until the next time, take care.